What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blade Dive. Excited to have you tuned in. I'm not going to talk too much this go around. I want to jump right into this conversation with my guest today because I'm excited to share the conversation with you. Quickly, I want to thank our sponsor, Prenoth. They back this podcast, and it is amazing to have their support, so grateful to them. If you're coming to Cutters Camp in May, look out. You may be joining me in the virtual booth. Just saying. My guest today is Matt Rowan, and if you do not know Matt has spent a lot of time at Mammoth Mountain. He spent time over in Australia. He spent time in Snowboard in Arizona. He spent time doing contracted work in Colorado, Utah. He's a big fan of the excavator and not necessarily just the snowcat. So dirt world, snow world talk. But this conversation is definitely real. It's heavy, and we talk about Matt's highs and lows within his career and life. But the big focal point is substance abuse and addiction. And if those types of conversations trigger you, fair warning, just so you know up front, that's what we're going to discuss in a portion of this conversation. But it's also about change and what it means to overcome those things, rebound, and reinvent yourself. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm excited to share this conversation with everybody. So if you're in the machine anywhere in the world, turn up the volume.
Go ahead and give it the juice. Already.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another Blade Dive, and it's a doozy today. I am really humbled to have the individual on the other side of the virtual booth with me today. It is Matt Rowan, and if you don't know Matt, quick little intro for you so you do. Matt has spent a shit ton of time at Mammoth, but he's also well-versed in being the contracted operator, being around large-scale projects, being a part of large-scale projects like Women's Super Park, and some incredible operators. We won't name names, but Matt has had a very tenured career in the industry, both snow and dirt, and that is why he's on the Blade Dive, because I want to talk to him about all that stuff. So without further ado, Matt, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Parker. Thanks for the intro, man. I am humbled to be a part of your show. I really am. I'm doing pretty damn good, man. How are you?
Dude, today was actually, it's kind of shoulder season. It's kind of 60s up here in the Pacific Northwest, so it was actually a good day with the sun out. I'm not gonna lie. People are like, you should be talking about snow and whatnot. No, it was a good day to see the sun out.
Yeah, same here.
Hey, just so everybody knows that's tuned in and listening right now, this conversation is 100% stacked with some incredible special guests, and you're going to hear them dropped in all throughout the episode. I'm very grateful for everybody that has contributed. That's the best way I feel like that we can really allow this extension of what is the already existing community to contribute to the Blade Dive. It's a really cool way for people who know Matt, maybe even better than I do, to contribute to the show, and it just makes it really special. So as you hear them drop into each portion of our conversation, I think you'll be excited to know who is contributing and how they're contributing just through the questions that they're asking. And long-winded stint there, but I just wanted to kind of clue people in. It's rad. This episode's going to be special. And we kick it off with a special guest question. You cool with that?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Let's do it. So our first special guest question comes from Mr. Adam Riffle, and he's got a couple. So I'm going to play the first one for you. Here we go.
What's up, Parker? What's up, Maddie? My question for Maddie is, you've always been really good at transferring your skills as a builder and leader in the terrain parks to what you're doing in the off-season. What's your best advice for a younger or less experienced operator that's trying to find that year-round employment? Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Riffle. Good question, bro. Well, the dirt world, would always follow snow, obviously. Snow melts, you got to do something. So for a long time, it was either just get a job at the golf course, and I did that for several years. Sierra Star and Mammoth. That's where I cut my teeth on a lot of equipment, backhoes and stuff. And then got on with Mammoth, working for Clifford in the summers. They do a lot of in-house installs for the snowmaking, so that's where I kind of got my first snowmaking installation going on. And then I hopped on with Towsley. I've been working on and off of them for about the past decade, on and off. I'm working for them now here in Sundance, Utah. But for the up and comers, yeah, man, you just gotta decide what you want and go for it. You know, if you want to get into running equipment in the off season, start talking to your bosses, start talking to your coworkers, you know, like somebody around the cat shop runs equipment. So start poking around, asking questions, just like you got that cat shop, you know, it's the exact same thing. Everybody's looking, I promise. So the construction side is a lot different than the winter side. You know, a snowcat is equipment, but heavy equipment, dirt world, it's quite a bit different, but very similar in some respects. So yeah, you just got to be honest with yourself and get on early, you know, as early as you can, you know, as young as you can. You know, I started running equipment about the same time as I started running snowcats, right around 19, 20. Yeah, and haven't really looked back, but thanks for the question, Ripple.
You know, if you want it, go out and get it. But it's not like it has to be this intimidating thing that's unattainable.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the construction side, it has that. Times are changing though, man. Like the construction side it's not what it was when I started, and it's better that way. That's for sure. But it's more available for people to come in and learn. It's becoming that way. There's some hard asses, absolutely, but it's a big, dangerous job, big equipment. You know, there's just no time for bullshit. But it's a good career. You know, I like it. It's something that I've become good at, and I'm just kind of sticking with it. Happened on accident, really, but I just like machines. So.
Riffle's got some more questions for you.
All right.
I think he set you up for success. I'll play them for you now. Here we go.
All
right, Maddie. I got 2 more questions for you. What's a mud finger? And 2, what's your best late spring building story, including all the carnage that sometimes came with? Thanks, man.
Oh, a mud finger is a finger of mud that goes out on the snow. They happen a lot in the Sierra, especially at Mammoth and the pumice, because pumice floats on water, if you don't know that. So, you know, especially in the spring, all of the water, especially in Mammoth, you know, it'll be 70 degrees. So there's some serious water moving under the snowpack in the water bars, you know, and sometimes the water bars will blow out. Then the water's going crazy and it'll work its way up to the surface, and it can have a lot of dirt in it, pumice, and it can go all over the ski runs, and you can also get them from just a big snow field above a dirt patch. The water runs through it and out onto the snow. They're the worst. Billy Ganley actually gave me the nickname Matty Mudfinger. Not super proud of that one, but man, I earned it. And I think the best Mudfingers were always on Chair 5 at Mammoth for the spring camps.
Real quick, I was just gonna say, if anybody were to give you a nickname, that's a pretty good individual to give you one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, baller. Baller Billy.
Baller Billy.
Yeah, Baller Billy for sure. But yeah, Matty Mudfinger, and that one did not die. So, but yeah, the Mudfingers, especially Chair 5, those U.S. camps, they've been doing them for a long time now, for like 10 years, so they're getting pretty good at them. But the first few years were a disaster. Just crazy Mudfinger runoffs. If you go farm an area, but you don't take all of it, like 100% all of it, then you leave these snow fields out in the middle of dirt patches and shit gets crazy. Yeah, Mudfingers running towards half pipes, running towards the run-ins of jumps. It's crazy. I have some pictures of Chair 5 camps, like the first couple of years. I think Erath was there for one
We
of
should
them.
get some of those pictures. That'd be rad.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, but it's pushing 10 years. Time's flying.
Time is definitely flying. But I don't know. What do you think I love that question, the second half of it. Just your favorite memory, the carnage, spring, being there. I don't know. What are you thinking there?
Oh, there's so many. I don't have a favorite, but I have lots of favorites. I don't know, winching Mudfingers up off of the trail. Definitely done that. Man, and just some of the builds we would do with minimal snow. Jumps at Canyon Lodge and the end of May, photo shoot jumps, like crazy stuff. Lower elevation, push trains, getting close to like a mile long, and just that never give up, go get it attitude. It was crazy. Just a lot of money, really. That's what it was, but it was fun.
The sidebar question here. What was the worst spring build that you ever did?
I don't know. Those Chair 5 camps were bad, man.
Were they?
Yeah, they were. And just making them last and maintaining it. I'm sure, like Jake Slominski at Mammoth can attest to that. Maintaining that place for a month after you build it is it's crazy. But you get good at it. The Mammoth has all the resources in the world. Salt cats, all that. So, but those Chair 5 camps, and they weren't always like the bitch and photo shoot jump and all that stuff. It's a little more fun, or they're cool guy.
Yeah.
You want to dip your cool, but those Chair 5 camps were fun.
Well, I want to give a shout out to Adam Riff. Huge.
Thanks,
you for
Adam.
Contributing. That was dope. He brings up a really good point, and it's a good transition kind of into what I wanted to unpack with you. And I'm, again, honored to have you on the show. Super humbled that you've given us your time. You mentioned kind of a little piece of machines and you being a part of them early on, 19 and 20 and doing your thing. Adam brought up the advice piece. I want to bring up the word sustainable. And specifically to the dirt world, was that kind of a natural progression to your career? That would be my first question.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happened pretty natural. But I started running skid steers and forklifts when I was in high school. So I kind of already had a little bit of that going on. But the natural progression part of like turning into a career happened naturally. But you just made more money, you always had to do something in the summer, because you're like, well, I'm going to be broke, or, it was, especially when you're younger in a ski town, it's just like, oh shit, here comes summer. Am I going to go home? Am I going to stay here? It can be a struggle in your 20s, that's for sure. But going on the road was a pretty good option for me. Because that's really the best way you can get experience, depending on who you're working for. Traveling to the big jobs instead of waiting for the big jobs to come to your resort. Because depending on the resort, the big projects don't always happen that often. So to get some of those big projects under your belt, sometimes you got to break out and go do some work on the road. And I like working on the road. It gets old, don't get me wrong. but you get to travel and see places and you make good money. It's a bit of a young man's game, but I'm still in my mid-30s, so I'm having fun doing it still. And it was just it happened natural because it was the best way to make a living. And for it to be sustainable, people have to make a good living. Like it's different times, man. Like I grew up well, I didn't grow up in Mammoth, but I moved there when I was a senior in high school and started meeting a lot of those guys, like Danny. And Danny Rosse, for those that don't know, is just an absolute legend to the terrain park industry in Mammoth and June Mountain. But he ran equipment in Mammoth in the summer when I first started, just seeing jobs like that, and it seemed like there was more of them back then. The year-round old boys that ran cats and ran hose in the summer and dozers, and it's just it seems like those jobs aren't around as much. I don't know. It depends where you're looking, I guess, but for it to be sustainable, they got to start spending some money and benefits. Like just think what a skier is asking you to do. Like stay here year round and pay a mortgage. Like are you like, what do you guys? You're serious? It's just the only way it's going to be sustainable for employees is to pay them what they deserve. And if they don't deserve a lot of money, they don't deserve it. But there's a lot of willing employees. But it made it sustainable for me by just going out there and working my ass off. Is really what it came down to.
I do want to know more about you. Tell your story a little bit. What was it like growing up as Matt Rowan, however much you're willing to share?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I am an Okie from Oklahoma. Was born there. Didn't grow up there, though. I moved to Arizona when I was a kid, like 2 or 3 years old. And I grew up in northern Arizona. It was just a family move for work for my dad. But grew up in northern Arizona in the mountains of Arizona. There is some nice mountains in Arizona, believe it or not. Grew up in northern Arizona, as I was saying, just like most kids, going to school, riding bikes, building jumps, getting in trouble. Started snowboarding when I was in 5th grade. And oh man, just never looked back. As it was with most of us, it was just like the best thing ever. I also enjoyed riding dirt bikes and 4-wheelers. I had a dirt bike through high school and grew up on some property, and I'd save up my money from working. I worked at a dirt bike shop, which was about as good as it gets for a teenager with a dirt bike. And my dad was super cool and would rent equipment every now and then and let me go out in the field and doing donuts in a Bobcat, spilling dirt in a cab, just not. Looking back, that was awesome, and that's what really started my equipment, the path. And the motorcycle shop I worked at had a forklift, so I'd be moving the crates around with the bikes in them and putting them together and stuff. So that was cool. And I was a bit of a troublemaker in school, and I was able to graduate high school a week after I turned 18, October of my senior year, and worked at the rental shop at Canyon Lodge when I was a senior. Just snowboarded and loved it and made it work. I worked at the Shell gas station that summer and the Quality Inn, all kinds of stuff.
I forgot that you did that. You worked at the Shell gas station.
Yeah, I was 18, just not. I didn't make good decisions in there. We'll leave it at that. But but I made it work. I was broke, but I was working 2 jobs. My parents really, they raised a hard worker. Because they're both super hard workers. So me and my sisters, we all work hard. But I was, if there's a way to stay in a ski area town, like I was willing to do it. My dumbass at 18, I figured it out, and just like everybody else did, like it's just the ski and the snowboard community. It's just like nothing else. You'd live in a closet and eat ramen noodles just to go shred pow every day, live in poverty, and it's just crazy what you would do to be a part of the Stoke.
From what it sounds like, you had a pretty powerful childhood. You grew up, you had like you said, your strong ability to work and differentiate between what it was. I mean, look, everybody makes some shitty decisions in life. We're all not perfect, but you literally had a sense of, okay, this is what it's going to be for, this is what it's going to look like for me to work hard and get what I want. You had a tenacious appetite for working hard, from what it sounds like, man.
If you want to be somewhere, if you want to be in the mountains year round, it's not cheap. So it's just what you can do and what you can afford to do, or what you can do, what you're willing to do. Some people value money over time. Some it's opposite. I like to work. A 60-hour work week's pretty cash for me. And still get a day or two off. I just wake up really early. There's a lot of time in the day.
Do you feel like snowcat operations has kind of positions itself as a bit of a sexy job? And I say that in terms of, the dirt world it's everywhere. Like you just mentioned it. The people are looking, companies are hiring, they're looking for really good people. They're looking for really good operators. But in the snowcat realm of things, it's kind of positioned itself as this very cool thing to do. But people don't realize that there's a lot of work involved with learning the trade, understanding the machine, what it's like to maintain it, and now the technology is advancing even further. It's kind of like snowboarding and skateboarding. Like snowboarding was birthed from skateboarding. Do you feel like there's ever going to be this transition from the dirt world operator going, hey, yeah, I could maybe go and operate snowcats? Or how do we kind of connect the two a bit more?
Most equipment operators won't come run a snowcat because they'll have to take a pay cut.
That's exactly what I wanted you to say, selfishly.
Yeah, no, that's 100% the truth. The only reason I do it is because I like snowboarding and I like running snowcats. I like shaping snow. I like putting a finish on the snow. It's not always nicer to work with than dirt. Definitely not always. But when the snow is good, man, it's got the best material to work with. Just like the volume of snow you can move down steep trails, stack jumps. It's fun. It's a sporty machine. Some might not consider it heavy equipment. I know if you go to a construction site in Oklahoma and tell somebody you run a snowcat, they'll just be like, "What?" So it's different. It's absolutely different. But the spatial awareness and the finesse of the joystick and moving forward and up and down and all of that stuff is all very similar. So, dirt, the terms, and just dirt work isn't rocket science, but there's a method to it. And if you're doing it wrong, it's very obvious. So it's just like snow, we're not sending people to space. It's the methods are simple, but making the machine do what you want it to do is not simple.
Well, as I mentioned, we have several people that have contributed to this episode as special guest questions, and it's important to me, as I mentioned, that we do that because I'm not the end-all be-all encyclopedia of knowledge of everybody that comes on the show. And it's part of my due diligence on the back end. And it's really awesome to have this many people contribute to something like a conversation with Matt Rowan. So without further ado, I have Mr. Doug Mercer. Matt, for you, that is next special guest question. I will go ahead and play it for you now.
What up, Parker? What up, Blade Divers? Calling from the deep south down here in New Zealand. I got a question for your favorite park builder's favorite park builder, Mr. Matty Rowan. Matty, we started our careers on snow and in machines back at Mammoth in June, riding together and pushing each other. And while we didn't get a chance to work together as much as I would have liked, we did get a chance to shred a lot. So my question is about snowboarding. If you could ride any setup right now, any park setup right now, whether it's one of yours or somebody else's, from X Games all the way down to Riglet, what setup would you ride right now, and who would it be with? I hope this finds you well, man. Love you, brother.
Thanks, Doug. Great question. Shit, man. There were a lot of good times riding with you and Ruben, Jason, but I think the one that stands out the most, the first one that came to my mind, was Women's Super Park. My first winter at June. Parker, you were there. You were doing sled laps. And I just remember riding those features, that channel gap, especially. It was Women's Super Park, so it was only like 50 feet. So that was fun. But riding out with Doug and Ruggsy, Ruben, it was over a couple days we had a session. I think Ruben was a part of it. Chili was a part of it. Lonnie was a part of it. All the babes. Those are good memories, man. Those June days, the grenade games, and all that stuff. It's good stuff. Thanks, Doug. I'm sure you remember those sessions as well. They were all time.
Selfishly, I hit the channel gap. I sent it. It was awesome. It was a really good jump.
Yeah, that thing was fun.
Well, like it was a really great showcase of what it was to push women's snowboarding. That's my point.
Yeah, no, that was cool.
That was cool.
No, it was.
So I have another special guest question for you. We're going to do the old 1-2 punch here, but it's from yours truly, a special individual who knows you and I very well. It's Ruben Cameron. Here we go.
Matty Rowan, my man. I hope you're well, bro. Out of all the mischief that we got up to, mate, all the vitamin waters we drank, all the chocolate cake we ate at June Mountain, what's one of your favourite memories of building stuff together, bro? We did a lot of things together there, and we helped push snowboarding and skiing a lot in those days. What's your favourite thing? I hope you're well, mate. Take care. All the best.
Yeah, Ruben. Thanks, bro. Oh, man. Well, the vitamin waters and the chocolate cake. Yeah, we used to go in June's Lodge, graveyard shift, and find ourselves some snacks on the nightly. Yeah, it was just part of the deal. We worked graveyard of June. We were allowed to have a vitamin water and a brownie. Sneaking around that lodge at night was always spooky for sure. But the good times there, man. With you, did just about all of them, Ruben. Our first year together, rookies, didn't really know what we were doing. Definitely didn't know what we were doing. But we had some experience. We groomed trails and we were grooming jumps and doing all kinds of stuff, having fun. We were pretty good rookies. And then when I came back from Arizona after my little college stint, that first year when we had like 8 or 9 jumps in Sunrise, and every rail on the ground, the satellite dish, the wrecking ball, those were the times, man. Helping you build that jump for Lonnie and Chili, that was sick. The super parks, the hip for your boy Jakob Wester, that was a big hip that we played with the hip cutter on. That was pretty epic. Me, you, and Sandy. All of them, Ruben, coming to Australia, all of that stuff. It's been too long, brother. I miss you. Thank you for being a part of this.
I was going to ask, did you have the opportunity to get down to Australia and work with him, or was that
I did.
Yeah, okay, cool.
But I went for one season, one summer, and I winched mainly. They didn't have an open spot in the park, unfortunately, when I went, but they did have a spot on trails winching. So winching in Australia was cool too, man. That you'll learn some stuff doing that. That'll make you a good winch operator down there, boy. So that was cool, and I would help in the park. I would help come winch the landings and help with events and stuff. But I had my duties as taking care of my trails, which kept me pretty occupied. But it was a nice break from building park, you know, and in the northern hemisphere, and then just going down there and running a winch. I'd say it was relaxing, but it really wasn't that relaxing. You're just covered in dirt with slush like every night, it'll rain. And we had a pretty good season when I was down there. Definitely shredded some Australian pow. Had a hell of a time down there. Kind of a shit show, like getting it all together, because I was like 25 and pretty irresponsible. And Ruben convinced me to go by March or something. He's like, you got to decide. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And then just started making it happen, and just one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I was getting on an airplane drunk to go to Australia. And when I left, I was sure I was going back. I'm like, I'm going back, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. But I was worried it was going to take the fun out of it, because it did. Like you leave Australia in the spring, and it's pretty bad, the snow's melting, it's pretty bad. And then you get on a plane and you come back to America in the fall on a bad snow year, you're just like, what? I'm like, I've been covering way too much dirt, man. It sucks.
I was going to ask you what your favorite BR2 memory was from Jew Mountain.
Well, BR2 wasn't always my favorite, but she did good on the jumps. I mean, we would share. I would run like Ruben would run that more than me, and he'd let me run the 200 park bully.
With the paddles.
One of the first of their kind for sure. With the paddles, felt like rubber bands was the linkage. But it had the park blade and tiller on it, so you could do like tank land and stuff. So shaping steep trannies and stuff. But favorite BR2 moment would pretty much be like anytime you could till a steep tranny, like a propane tank or a hip or something, and the combs didn't get caught under. That was my favorite time.
John Swartz, what up?
Right.
There was the joystick that was,
pew pew pew. Like you're playing a video game. Like got that little light on in there.
Oh, totally. You're getting
a million degrees.
But it was so cool because it made you appreciate. I remember when that first the first generation bison rolled up to the resort, and that's the machine that we purchased. And fuck, that thing was
the black one, those with the 350 cabs, those were sick.
I remember getting pissed off at Nate Polzer because that's all he did was fucking drop his tiller all over that park after we'd put.
Oh, shout out to Polzer! I saw he's out working in Utah.
Is he
working with us? Yeah,
nice.
So it's good working with him again.
Is he at Sundance with you?
He was there for a little bit, and then
cool.
He's over on another project over by Ogden. But we might be celebrating Thanksgiving together. So we'll see. I hope so. I need to call those boys.
Did he ever quit smoking the top, or did he?
Did he? Yeah, he quit.
Nice.
He quit smoking ciggies.
Yeah,
that was a few years ago.
That was the first of my experiences working with Polzer. Parker, give me the top. The top to what? What's the top? Is it over here? Are you looking for that?
No, stupid.
Are you looking for where's the top at?
Love you, Nate.
Yeah, it was like, no, it's tobacco. I was like, oh yeah, over here. Here's your tobacco. Oh yeah, there's your tobacco. I totally remember.
Yeah, that tobacco. That's some bad stuff.
Yeah, that is definitely some bad stuff. Yeah, shout out to Polzer. That was fun. Parker.
Yeah, grenade games. He came and helped for grenade games that year.
Yeah. Oh man, his voice is like I mean, it's yeah.
Unmistakable for
Yeah,
sure.
we've had some awesome guests come on this show and talk about so many different things that aren't popular to discuss, and I think
Yeah,
that's what's going to
lots.
separate you from I think a lot of the industry and just the ability to talk about it, and it is addiction, and your struggle with it, and whether or not maybe you think addiction is something that is discussed enough in this industry. I don't. I don't think it is. It's as I've
Yeah,
said. It's
I don't.
yeah. I definitely don't. It's not a sexy thing to unpack or discuss amongst the operator crews and seeking help in what may have been termed kind of a tough guy arena, because it is. It's a bit of a bro world, and that's unfortunate. But I think we're moving in the right direction to be more vulnerable. But seeking help can be intimidating, and I think that's the one question that I really want to pose to you is how did you do it? Because you struggled with it, and how did you seek help?
Oh, how? Yeah, it's where do I start? Um, yeah, addiction has been a big part of my life, a few years of it at least. So how did I get help? Um, well, before I decided I needed help, there was a lot of things that led up to it, you know. 15 years of living in Mammoth, partying with my friends. It just became a lifestyle. Party hard, you work hard, you ride hard, nobody talk about addiction, and just after so many years, like uh I haven't drank or done drugs, and it'll be 3 years in March. So going back to how this is all fairly recent. That's why I told you how long it's been. So about 3 years ago, I got an extreme DUI in Mammoth. Not the first one who's done that. And I knew I had an alcohol problem long before that happened. But I didn't really know, because when you're in that type of situation, the amount of denial and shit that I was going through, like, this is me, this is just what happened to me. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen to anybody else. This is just how it worked out for me. So the DUI was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was an extreme DUI, so I got in some trouble for it. So I get the DUI at the start of the winter, and then I go to start work. Didn't immediately go to graveyard because it started snowing, and I was going to start on grave, make some money because I just got in trouble, pay it all off, yada yada. But I didn't. I went to grave, but I didn't start drinking. I was all stressed out because of the DUI. Working grave, not sleeping enough, not taking care of myself nearly enough. My work performance suffered drastically. I didn't care. I wasn't held accountable for anything. Just blew everything off. I would damage something and not even kind of realize. I was not in the game. And so my performance at work was suffering. My performance at life was suffering. If alcohol becomes a problem in your life, then your life becomes a problem for pretty much anybody who knows you. So some people know my story, some people don't, but I'm putting it out there for everybody. So, Mammoth, graveyard, DUI, and I know I'm fucking up. So I sobered up for a few days, and I was getting sick. Things weren't going good. So I checked myself into the hospital, and they admit me, and where I continued to stay for the next 5 to 6 days. Alcohol withdrawal is a very big deal. Withdrawing from alcohol is the only substance that can kill you from withdrawing from it. Not even all the hard drugs in the world. I don't quote me on that, but alcohol withdrawals will kill you if you're not careful. And it depends how far you're down that road. But they were getting me bad. So there I was at the hospital. I notified my sister and my friend Jason in Mammoth that I was in the hospital. They notified my parents. They came out, spent time with me in the hospital. When they released me from the hospital, my parents were just like, you got to leave. Like, you have to leave this place. You got to get better. You're not going to get better in that town. My sister was there. My friend Jason, the lifelong friend, moved there together practically. And he was just like, you got to get out, dude. Get out of here. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, just go, you know. So I left Mammoth. It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever done. But I had to do it for me. So I break my lease at my house I'm staying at. Luckily, I had a cool landlord, packed up all my shit, my motorcycles, everything, and moved to Oklahoma. And lived with my parents for a few months. I was in so much trouble with the law for my DUI. They wanted to send me to jail for an extended period of time or go to treatment. I took the treatment route. I spent a couple months in treatment, and even though I was technically kind of forced to do it, and if I screwed it up, I was going to get in trouble. But that was the best thing in the world for me at that time. The most humbling experience that I've ever been through. Yeah, it's kind of tough to talk about a little bit, but putting it out there for you.
I think it's, well, first of all, I'm very humbled that you would put it out there for anybody to listen to. I think being vulnerable is super important, and it's all about really coming into your own, a little bit of a bigger understanding to change. But I was going to ask you this too. This is kind of a sidebar question. Are we talking, just so that people can put things into perspective, and you can tell me if this is too far of a reach, but are we talking 6-pack a day? Are we talking handle a day? Are we talking case?
Oh
12
yeah,
pack?
no, it wasn't a handle, but it was. I was drinking hard alcohol every single day, and beer.
So liquor and beer.
Liquor and beer and weed and drugs. You know, it's the ski town. You know, people party, people like their drugs, people like their booze. It is what it is, you know. And it's a problem, for a lot of people, not, you know, and that's just, it was certainly a problem for me, you know, and I'm not going to tell anybody they got a problem, but it was certainly a problem for me. I don't know if you were the right person and you have a problem, I'd tell you have a problem for sure. Because that's what people who have problems with substances, sometimes they need one of their friends or somebody in their life to give them that harsh check, that you get your shit straight. But you don't listen. You know, when I was going through all that shit right before it got real bad, I wasn't going to listen to anybody. You just deny it and you truly believe it. And that's what makes it so hard to help people. Because, everybody's got a reason. If you're self-medicating with alcohol or drugs, that's a problem. Some people need to be medicated and they don't get medicated and they do it through drugs and alcohol. And that just makes your problem so much worse. And to go through alcohol withdrawal like that, some people get the yips from a long weekend or something like that. But it just gets worse. And that's, I was getting to the point with my drinking that I just get anxiety and depressed, crippling. If you get sick from it, and it's inevitable. If you do it enough, it's going to happen to you. So I just, moderation is very important, and I've struggled with that, in life, really. Like I was addicted to substances, and now I'm just like addicted to taking care of my body and working out and running, and just the complete opposite. Like as hard as I partied, I'm putting that much money and time and effort into taking care of myself, and it's super rewarding. But back to how, I kind of told you my story. But that's it. I went to Oklahoma. I got help. I went to rehab. I've been to countless AA meetings. But when I got out of treatment, that's when the real hard work started. Trying to take my damaged ego and fit back into the world, and not harming myself by drinking and partying and doing drugs and just all that. So that's when the real hard work started, and that's what anybody is going to have to go through if they're in a similar position. But what just really helped me a lot was occupying my time, staying busy no matter what you do. Like wake up early, start grinding. Don't sit there on the couch and stare at your phone and none of that shit. Get out, get moving, get some exercise, make goals, have a routine, be grateful, meditate. Just I can go on and on and on. And that's all just stuff that helped me. Being around my family, like I'm close with my parents. I'm very fortunate, and I know a lot of people aren't that lucky. But everybody has somebody in their life that they can go to. So whenever, well, I hope everybody has somebody they can go to. But I needed help getting out of that. I wasn't alone getting myself into that mess. I was doing it with my friends. And I wasn't going to get out of that mess alone either. I needed some help. And that's just what I needed. I didn't work for a few months. And I just focused on my recovery and not doing anything but taking care of myself and just putting in the work to try to get out of that hole. And oh man, it's tough. It was really tough. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I still battle it. But life's been pretty good lately. Ever since I quit putting all that poison in my body, shit fucking worked out pretty good. But it's tough, man. It's just, you got to have healthy coping mechanisms. What do you do when something bad happens in your life? It doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. You know, like what are you gonna if somebody close to you dies? You know, how do you cope with that? Is it going to be hitting the bottle? Is it going to be doing a bunch of drugs? Is it going to be working in a wood shop, or is it going to be going for a run, something that's not bad for you? You know, like I love to party. You know, I was my best version of myself, so I thought. But it's just a false reality for me. You know, I'm just I I wasn't the responsible drinker. You know, it's just I just wanted to have fun, party with my friends, laugh, run around, get crazy. Because it was fun, snowboarding and partying. You know, like millions of people enjoy that lifestyle too. But it's dangerous.
Yeah, I want to kind of term this the podcast pause. I don't know. I think that it's cool. Well, it's cool. It's cool to have a conversation where people can go back and forth, and there's definitely some reciprocation that's being created. But I think there's some respect that kind of has to be paid to you being able to speak to that, and I don't need to feel like I have a really witty question or answer to follow. I think the best thing that I could probably do is just to ask you straight up, what would you tell any operator out there right now if they're scared to seek help and they have an addiction issue? What would you tell that operator?
Message me. Like
Yeah.
that's just the first thing that, you know, like I can't fix everybody's problems. I know that. But
Yeah.
I could help point somebody in the right direction. There's AA, there's treatment, there's hotlines, there's the internet, there's books that you can read. You can seek help through people that really, really give a shit about you. If it's the person that you're splitting a 30 rack with and a bottle of whiskey after work, not the person. Just not the person. You need to talk to somebody who doesn't drink, most likely, or whatever. You got to get outside help. You know, people, places, and things was something I was taught. The people you're hanging out with, the places that you're going, the things you're doing. You know, those are all very important things. You're not alone. I know that was a pretty relieving thing when I finally admitted to my smart ass that I had a problem. That's just, it helps you take your guard down. And you can do all this stuff privately. I went through all my stuff private. I didn't put any of it online or nothing. I was embarrassed. But don't wait till it's too late. Don't do it like I did it. Withdrawals can kill you. And don't just know what you're fucking around with. There's nothing wrong with getting your shit together either. And deep down, you know, like man, there's nothing wrong. Like if you're having those thoughts, that's natural. That's good. You're still human. But you gotta reach out. If you need help, get help. You don't have to tell everybody about it. You don't. You can do it your way, you know, recover, but you're gonna need some help. Because recovery isn't black and white. There's a lot of different methods that people go about doing it. So you need some guidance, but you kind of put your own twist on it and do what works for you. But there's so many options out there to get help. It was the best decision I've ever made. So, and I mean that so much. Life's just more fulfilling, real. It's kind of hard to describe. I don't know. It's you just talk to somebody who didn't have a problem. They're like, yeah, it sounds like you're just being a normal human being.
Well,
but people who struggle with addiction, they aren't normal human beings. You know, like there's
there you go. That's it.
There's something different in their brain. And that goes back to the tough guy arena, like, oh, this fucking guy, you must be weak. You know, I'm like, whatever, guys who think that way, everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
Uh,
But until you have a family member with a problem, or you have
boom. There you go.
a child
That's it.
with a
That's it.
problem. My parents don't drink hardly at all because their parents drank, and they didn't want anything to do with it. So I didn't grow up with it. So you kind of naturally tend to do the opposite of your parents because they're not cool. So there's everybody has their reason to escape reality for a little bit, and that's cool for sure. But I was doing it every day, a lot, for a while, for years. Some people want to go public with it. It took me almost 3 years to want to go public with mine, and it's still hard. But some people, by going public with it, you make yourself accountable, extremely accountable, and you take the power away from it. You're not giving anybody anything to talk about anymore because you talked about it. It's just everybody's different, man.
Everybody, yeah, that's it.
But that's just what worked for me. I was humiliated. I wanted to suffer in silence. I wanted to do right by myself. I wanted to do it alone. I didn't do it alone, but I did a lot of it alone. My parents were there to support me, 100%. But I got myself in that mess, and I needed the help. When I say I wanted to do it alone, like I was doing it for me.
Yeah.
But I needed the help. Like nobody can do it for you. You have to do it, but you need people that can help guide you along.
Mm.
And if that's taken a couple months off of work for your career, or whatever it may be, but the longer you put it off and the worse it gets, the worse it's going to be for you. I promise.
Not necessarily switching gears, but moving towards something that is relative to what we were just discussing, and that's change. Change is something that is, I don't think it's difficult to discuss, but one big piece that I want to know about from you is what you've learned about it. Is it kind of the resistance to change? You kind of unpacked a piece of that, maybe how you approached change, and it could be anything, but I would be really curious to know how you learned from change or about it, because you went through this whole process and that involves change. You're shifting from one momentum, and either you're shifting gears and maybe it's slowing down or speeding up, but how did you learn from change?
Change is an action. I know that. It's something that you have to do. Like there's no way around it. In rehab, they had a saying that stuck with me. The only thing you have to change is everything. And that hit me like a ton of bricks when I got there, because it's so true. Like, well, it was so true for me, and everybody else at that place. Because it's like I said with the people, places, and things, and you gotta change what you're doing. You get out, and it's changes. Yeah, you can't even hardly talk about it. But change comes from within. Like I said just a little bit ago, 100% from within. Like you have to do it for you, nobody else. You can't do it for your kids or your family, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else. And I needed help to change. That's what helped me change, was people that are professionals in helping people change. I wasn't working because I was just focused 150% every single day for 2 months straight on changing. And that's what it took for me to change. like I was saying, I didn't get into all that trouble alone. I sure wasn't getting out of it alone. And just I found whatever motivated me for change, whether it's to be healthier or to be around another year or to see your family or to pursue your career or whatever it may be. Find what motivates you, whether it's to get in good shape or whatever, and just blow the fucking lid off it. Like I'm upset. Like I said, like I took my obsession for alcohol and drugs and just put it into being physically fit and eating well, and just doing all that stuff, taking care of my body. And it's great. All good things don't happen overnight. And just progress over perfection, it's not going to happen quick. It's not going to happen easy, but it can happen and it will happen if you stick with it. You just show up and do your best every day, man. Some days you don't, most days you don't feel like showing up, but you show up and you do it. Keep a journal, write your goals down, put Post-it notes on everything. I'm just sharing what worked for me. And hopefully some of these little things can help somebody else. That's the whole reason of all of this, really. At least the addiction part is to help one of y'all. So you're not alone. Don't forget it ever.
That takes courage, and I commend you, man, for talking about it and being able to unpack it for as much as you have with us, man. I'm super grateful, Maddie. Thanks. I think there are a lot of people listening that will benefit.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's a topic that it should be discussed with the people that need to discuss it. People that don't have a problem don't want to listen to it, and they don't need to listen to it. But there's a lot of people out there that could benefit from it. So
100%.
Just taking care of yourself.
100%. Without further ado, I think, man, this conversation has been amazing, and I'm grateful for your time again. I think before we get too far along, I want to jump into the push road questions of the day. So I'll play the jingle and we'll roll into it.
Let's do it.
The push road question of the day.
That is right. The push road questions, they've become questions at this point of the day. And first one right out of the gate is coming from Chris Zajac. I think you know him pretty well. He wants to know. He wants to know if you want to come work at PC.
Well, Christopher, I'm committed to Mount Hood Meadows for the upcoming winter. Thank you for the offer, though. Maybe one of these times I'll have to take you up on it. I do like the area. But thank you, but I will have to deny that.
Next push road question comes from Corey McDonald, who is asking kind of the similar thing. When are you moving to Boise, Maddie?
Corey, thanks for being a part of my episode. Boise is pretty sick as well. I had a hell of a time there last summer. I know Joe wants me there. You never know, man. We'll leave it at that. You never know. But thanks, Corey. Another legend right there.
Yeah, another legend for sure. Kevin Malone, moving right along.
Legend.
Yeah. What's the longest shift you've spent in a snowcat? And shout out to Team Bad Pass.
Yeah, Kevin Malone. He's awesome, dude. Thanks, Kevin. Longest shift was on Chair 5, those camps that I was telling you about. over there. 30s, low 30s. Got in trouble. But yeah, with some of those super parks and stuff, we do several 20-hour shifts in a row, like 4. I think I did 4 in a row one time.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Not good. But doing it to ourselves, nobody's making us build all that shit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, times are different. I don't like to go much more than 12 anymore. Getting soft.
I don't know if soft's the right term, other than educated, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, time is valuable. Jeremy Cooper has weighed in with a push road question. He wants to know what kind of bomb did Teddy Raw set off in Lower Sunrise?
Sick bomb. Teddy. Yeah, he's a character. So yeah, I'll tell the story. I thought it was a half pipe, but that season it was Lower Sunrise and the half pipe, a couple sick bombs. But it was our rookie year. Ted was a half pipe guy, building a half pipe on his own, unsupervised. Cooper shows up, big old mess. Cooper says, looks like a bomb went off. And Ted said, yeah, a sick bomb. And like, totally meant it. Yeah, I don't know. You just had to be there, man. Sick bomb. So we've been saying sick bomb for a long time. So yeah, watch out for those sick bombs, y'all.
Man, watch out for those. There's a bunch. So like I said, we're gonna have a lot of people that have contributed to this episode. I'm excited. Kevin.
Right, yeah, it's crazy. Thanks.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it, and that's what makes things really great. Conversations.
I'm stoked.
Yeah, it's special. This one's awesome. Kevin Soller has weighed in, and he wants to know what it's like sharing your cab with a hairy wiener all the time.
Oh, it's the best. Wouldn't have it any other way. For those of you that don't know, I have a long-haired wiener dog named Bodie. He's my little operator dog. He comes to work with me every day. In the excavator, he rides in there and build him a bed behind the seat. He works every day with me, 80-hour weeks, doesn't matter. He's there. And I've been lucky enough with the Snowcats, who I've worked with over the past couple of years at least, have been pretty cool about him as well. So we're kind of like a package deal. So everybody wants me. Chris, can I bring my dog? I don't know if Vale would approve of that. Corey, I bet Bogus would be down. So there we go. We'll see.
Make or break. Glenn
Yeah, Bodie's in charge. Sorry.
Glenn Alexander has weighed in. He wants to know summer or winter these days, Maddie.
Oh, mostly summer, some winter. Like 70% summer, 30% winter. Still like to snowboard. Still like running cats, but shoveling snow. Getting dark at 5 o'clock. Seasonal depression. No, I don't really struggle with that, but I still like the winter. So I just like summer a little bit more these days.
There you go. Ryan Bezemek has a push road question for you, and he asks, what's your secret to building the best hips?
Well, thanks, Bezemek. I don't know if they're the best. That's a bold statement, but I had a year where I was building a bunch of them, that's for sure. Well, you've seen me do them. It's depending on how tall they are. You just build a really tall pile of snow, groom out the top of it, and start stepping. And with a good hand crew to get the top of it money for you, and with a lot of patience, and you can just blend that thing right out. There's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of technique to it. I don't think I can really explain it too well on the blade dive, but you see me do it. You're good at shape and steep training. I've seen your stuff. Thanks, Ryan.
Matt, Thanks for being a part of the pusher question of the day.
Yeah, thank you.
The push row question of the day.
Moving right along, we're going to transition into kind of a few different topics, and I'm excited to discuss them. But, Mammoth was the landscape for quite some time. But as you've mentioned before, you were from Arizona, born in Oklahoma, moved to Arizona, but you spent time building park there. And I guess my question really is, what's it like to work for a private or small place compared to a corporate or overarching bigger resort?
I think they're equally, because I've spent a bunch of time at big ones and little ones. I think the lessons learned and the experience, they're about equal, So like, excuse me, the guys at the smaller resorts always, like naturally you're gonna want to go to a bigger resort, wherever, because it's big and it's badass and all that stuff, which it is. It's cool. But the little ones, you get a lot from them too. You get to be a lot more creative. Every mountain's unique. It depends how lax your ski patrol is. Sometimes ski patrol won't let you do shit at the small mountains. We fought them at Snow Bowl, me and Yosh. Not physically, but almost. Not really. But because I started at Mammoth and got lots of experience, or not lots, but quite a bit. And then moved back to Arizona to go to school, got a job at the Snow Bowl building parks with pretty little experience. I had a few years at Mammoth grooming trails, and then I had one season at June building park, and then I'm at Snow Bowl and hungry, super hungry. And they kind of left me alone, to do my own thing. They're just like, don't build anything too big, and you really couldn't, because we didn't have snowmaking at the time. But you can be trusted a lot in those small roles, you can get a lot of experience at the little mountains, like leading into learning how to run summer equipment at the Snow Bowl. That was huge too, working there. Dale, the boss of Yosh and I's boss at the time, he runs like this mountain manager job at the Snow Bowl. They had a dozer and a loader and a couple little minis, and I would just be like, I'll run that. And like, really? I'm like, oh yeah. And I've like moved it around the parking lot once, and then I'm out there saying I can run it. But it's just, I don't know, there's a lot of opportunity at little ski areas. There really is. But there's the other side of it at big ski areas, like that's where you can learn about big money budgets, a team, building a team, a big department, and working together, and just so much other stuff, So I think working at both will help keep you pretty well rounded, puts things in perspective. For sure, a problem at one place certainly isn't a problem at another. So it's cool. It'll open your eyes for sure. And just traveling around the country doing it too, working at different ski areas, like Colorado man-made. Like that's where I was the past 2 winters, was at Aston, relying solely on man-made snow. Like it's extremely impressive, the amount of snow they make at Buttermilk, and it's just a different beast, compared to like what it was in Mammoth, which would be a lot more natural, or it used to be at least. But yeah, I've taken a lot from both small and big, lots.
That's rad. I think a really great question. I've got another special guest question for you. It's from Joe Mack, and I will go ahead and play it for you now.
Kia ora, Matty Rowan. Stoked to you on the podcast. Bloody legend. Go question for you. What's the better snowcat? What pushes better? What builds better? What brand is better? What do you like? Or ultimately, does it come down to the operator and they're all the same? Love you, brother.
Yeah, Joe. Thanks, bud. Good question. Fucking touchy subject, though.
I was gonna say, yeah.
This is just my opinion, okay, everybody. I like the piston bullies more. I certainly don't hate Prenoth. I think they do certain things better. I know when I spend long periods of time in a snowcat, I feel better when I get out of a piston bully. Not as sore, not as mad, not or cranky, you know, like you spend 16 hours in a center seat bison, like you are so pissed off. Sam Kiley knows. Yeah, and I was right there with him, buddy. That it can just be brutal sometimes, but I like them both. I like snowcats, but I think I like what Piston Bully has been doing more lately. You know, like with the Park Pro and Jay and all he did. Thanks, Jay. I haven't seen you in a while, but you're awesome. And that Park Pro was an amazing cat. That joystick, I like that joystick a lot too. So, rest in peace to the old joystick. But because I like the old joystick because you could use every finger instead of just your thumb. You know, it wasn't 10 or 15 buttons all for your thumb. And on some of the piston bullies, you know, you could have your tiller steering over on your sticks, so you can be swinging your tiller and blade and doing all that stuff at the same time. They were listening to the operators, and it shows because that cat's badass. Prenoths are sweet. They climb well. They've always climbed well. You know, they're balanced. But it's always been that way. So I haven't had a chance to run the Tier 5. I've seen it. I've sat in it. Looks pretty cool, but lots of thumb buttons. Those cats rattle a lot, and the passenger seat isn't very good, and the stereo is terrible. Those are easy fixes. Yeah, but Colorado man-made, bottomless, pushing on a half pipe. Prenoths do pretty good. They back up those half pipe decks and their sugar pretty well. Climb up the side of a icy jump landing in a Prenoth. That's pretty fun, like Spider-Man. So they both have their advantages. Piston bullies have more range of motion in their. I think you can build features with a piston bully that you can't build with a Prenoth. I know that, but just the blade picks up higher. Like those photo shoot hips, I challenge somebody to backblade that with a Prenoth blade. You know, those piston bully blades, they backblade better and put a better finish on it. They do. You know, I feel like the Prenoth blade is a little older. You know, that seems like the blade that's on those new center seats is the exact same blade that was on that black Bison that we had at June. Exact same blade. They had a go at putting those like wing extenders on it and stuff and making the blade all super heavy. But, you know, I'd like to see a new blade from Prenoth. That'd be cool. Personally. And this is just all my opinion. Okay. So you've been listening to me talk for a while, so take it for what it's worth.
No, I think you know, your opinion is definitely validated. It's all good.
But they're both sick cats. So
yeah, they are.
They're both cool cats. I'd run either of them. I spent the last 2 winters in a Prenoth, and you can do some stuff with those cats too, man. free grooming steep, icy jumps, up passes. It's pretty sick. So yeah, man, climbing like 40-degree, 38-degree landings, pretty cool. Can't do it a bunch of nights in a row, that's for sure, but get you out of work early a night or two. Pretty sweet. Not having to get the winch out.
Well,
Prenoth makes a great winch too,
Yeah, they do.
Makes a good winch too. So I don't know. It's all personal preference. Quit fighting about it.
Do you think that it boils down to the operator? How could you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
For me and what I'm trying to do in the Snowcat is I prefer a Park Pro.
Yeah.
But Prenoth, it's right there with it, And I think the better each cat is, the better cats will become, competition. So I think just keep putting the research and development in it and keep talking to the operators and stop making them heavier.
I think that's fair. I was going to throw this at you. How important do you think it is to understand the snow science behind it all as an operator?
Oh, it's crucial. I mean, it's just as important as learning the function of a blade, like observing, just like with running any equipment, observation is key. And knowing what the snow is doing and what you're doing to it is very important, whether it's just blading a takeoff and not tilling it for an hour so it'll set up because you turned it all to sugar by driving up and down it 30 times backblading it. But sometimes an hour is not enough if it's not cold. Sometimes you need 3 if it's 30 degrees. And then you back up it and till it. It's just, if you don't know what the snow is doing, and it all just comes with experience. You don't know what the snow is doing or how the storms come in and wind loading. I mean, snow science is, there's a lot to it. Avalanches, all that. I mean, avalanches aren't, with some free groomers, that's definitely a hazard. Not so much in the terrain parks, but snow science is very, very important, I think.
How do you think that people can better advocate for themselves because they've got those things like the understanding of snow science and the ability to be a team player and the ability to operate multiple pieces of equipment? How do you think you help that person advocate for themselves?
I think it's just the skier is facing a harsh reality of a shortage of skilled workers. And it's just, does it have to get to the point where most of the people quit doing it, and they don't groom as much as they used to, or, it's just, how long is it going to take to get people's attention? Is it going to be too late? Like they gotta start investing in their employees, obviously, but the employees got to invest in the ski area too. So it's kind of like that. Well, I'm not going to do it for you unless you do it for me. Well, you got to do it first, like that thing. So, Parker, I'm not really sure, dude.
Nah, well, I think that's okay for an answer for sure. But I do have another special guest question that kind of maybe will help you take that one further, maybe not, but I'll play it for you now. It's from Griffin Loop. Here we go.
What's up, Blade Dive? First, had the pleasure of working with both you gentlemen. So honored to be here with you all. Admire what you guys do. Natty, what's up, man? I guess my question, kind of two-part, is what inspires you kind of day to day outside your work to keep you motivated and inspired to do what you do creatively? And also, what can we do to hold space and keep that going amongst all of us doing our own thing? Maybe you guys can riff on that. Again, honor to be here with you guys. Peace.
Yeah, thanks, Griffin. Good question. What inspires me? Just seeing other people living their lives to the fullest. That's one for sure. Guys like you, Griffin. Living with intention. So much intention. It's like insane. For those of you that don't know Griffin, he's retired snowcat operator, park builder. Now he's an artist. Builds these amazing statues and all kinds of cool stuff. Griffin Loop, look him up. But yeah, watching people live their lives to the fullest, making the most out of every day, that really motivates me and inspires me. It might sound cheesy, but my parents, they inspire me big time to just keep moving on, moving forward, progressing. I'm watching, loved ones and family and friends succeed, like I was saying. Doing good things, having integrity inspires me to keep going. Keeping my demons at bay, that really inspires me to keep going, to keep motivated, to not go back to that place that I was a few years ago. That's a big inspiration. Lots of things inspire me. People inspire me. Little things. I can get inspiration in just random things. I don't know. But just being grateful, gratitude, all that.
Yeah,
Helps me a lot as well.
Yeah, I think you got to know where you've come from in order to be grateful for whatever's to come. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, along those lines, I was going to ask you too, and I asked this question of everybody, but outside of the ski industry, what defines you? And if you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would your dream job be?
Who am I? What defines me? Yeah, that's a really tough one to answer, but not really at the same time. Who am I? I'm an overcomer. I know that. I care about my family. I'm a snowboarder. I like motorcycles. I like to exercise. I love camping and hiking. I like progression, in my life, especially lately, like daily. If I'm not seeing it daily, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
It's my new obsession. So that's who I am lately. And I'm digging it. And dream job, or what I would do if I wasn't doing this, I don't know. I like flying a lot. I've been doing a lot of flying over the past couple of years. But I have been dealing with the FAA because of my DUI. So I got anybody out there has a DUI and has their pilot's license, hit me up.
10-4. That's good intel to have, yeah.
Right, yeah. I was devastated, but it's all good. Things work out, for a reason. So, but I can go fly with Riffle all the time, so that's cool too.
No doubt. What would flying be your dream job? What would you be doing if you're not doing what you're doing right now?
Yeah, if I can't fly, I don't know. All kinds of stuff. I've always wanted to work for the Forest Service, running equipment for them, but that's what I do now, or being a wilderness fireman. I've always had interest in that. I cooked for a little while, and that was kind of fun. Worked at a sushi restaurant. It was kind of weird, but it was cool. Yeah, I like cooking. I'm no chef, but
yeah,
that could be a cool job.
Tight.
I like welding. I'm not that good at it, but I can glue gun rails together. I can't arc weld pipeline or anything, but I can build you a down rail.
I was gonna say, along the lines of just random, I've got another special guest question for you from Joshua Yosh Heidorn. For anybody who hasn't listened to his episode of the Blade Dive, I've got a question for you after you listen to his, so I'll play his for you now.
Good morning, Blade Dive listeners. Natty. Got a couple questions for you, buddy. My first question is, if you had to build your ideal trail mix, what would be in it and why not raisins? Second question, if you had an opportunity to take that trail mix into the mountains, what would your ideal day look like? Hope you're doing well. Stay warm up there in Utah. Love you, buddy.
Raisins.
Thanks for the question, man. I'm speechless. I like trail mix. I do. I'm not sure what he's talking about with the raisins, because I like raisins. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe I forgot something. I don't know. But ideal trail mix, definitely some dehydrated fruit, like bananas. I've been smashing some of that lately. Lots of nuts. Definitely some chocolate. You got to have the sugar in there, or it's not trail mix. Yeah, just some good old fashioned trail mix, man. And where would I take it? Backpacking somewhere. We went on a great trip for Yoshi's bachelor party. Rode the train out of Silverton and hopped off and spent a couple nights in the backcountry. It rained like hell. Climbed a 14er. It was pretty epic. Really gnarly. We just did that, and I really want to go down to Patagonia. Torre del Paines, or however you pronounce it, down in Argentina, I believe, or Chile, Patagonia region. Looks amazing. So hopefully I make it down there one of these days. That's where I'd go. You want to go?
Very cool. I think he was talking about maybe taking the raisins down to Patagonia. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe.
I have to hit him up about that.
Yeah, I'll reach out.
Well, I think, the biggest question is kind of where the future of the snow industry is headed. And I ask that, and I genuinely do have an interest in where it's headed, and I'm interested in where other people think that it's headed. A little bit of context. There are so many different items that I think people are placing amongst where the industry could go. Greener footprint, less carbon. Climate change falls right in line with that. The evolution of machinery falls right in line with that. Are we going to see less of a guest interaction? Are we competing with different things for attention with respect to a guest service or experience market in mountain towns? Where is it headed? And I'd be curious to know what you think and where the industry is headed for the future.
I believe in climate change. And I do believe that snowmaking will be more important than ever in the upcoming years. As long as we still have the water to make it and do it efficiently and sustainably and be able to reclaim the water and do all that stuff. I think it'll become just a more efficient, well-tuned, cheaper operation. I think the parks will continue to be standardized, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. SnowSat, big brother, watching down on you. You're just gonna have to learn how to work with that. And yeah, it's not that big of a deal if you're doing your job. I think it's gonna be good. It's still skiing, like skiing and snowboarding is great. Like it'll be great until they tear the trailers down. But I think we're holding on to big half pipes, by a thread, like at all resorts, Breckenvale is in there. This was huge. So I think the places will still keep them. Absolutely. It's in the Olympics. And they're sick. But they're expensive. So not a lot of people ride them, I like riding through them, but those big ones are scary. But it's incredible to watch people ride those things. Like X Games pipes and stuff. World's best, just sending it. It's pretty pretty amazing. For the half pipe talk, but yeah, I think it's just going to continue on the path it's on. Really, I don't see anything big and epic happening, but I think they need to address the housing crisis and the wage and benefits sooner than later. I've seen a few stepping up. I won't mention any names or anything, but I've seen a few looking on social media. It's in the works, so it's gonna be up to us, to stick around and fight it out. And if it's something that you believe in, but it's the next and up and coming generation, the new dudes, the young guys. It's in your hands, really, like where it goes from here. Because I'll still do it for a while, I think. But I'm not going into it. I'm not obsessed with it anymore. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. But it was an obsession forever, and that's kind of how it is when you're in your 20s and you're just like, it's just life, snowboarding. And I'm stoked to see where it goes. There's a lot of up and comers that have a lot of potential and tricks up their sleeves and doing all that stuff, and I'm stoked to see where it goes.
I'm stoked to see where it goes too. I think it also boils down to kind of realizing, like I mentioned before, where you've been, where versus where you want to go. And it's really hard, I think, for a lot of people to transition out of a career in the ski industry and go on to something else. And we talked about change during our conversation too, and what that's like, and learning from it, and some people resisting it, etc. But I have another special guest question for you, and it's our last special guest question for the episode. It's from Chris Meyer, and I'll go ahead and play it for you now.
Hey there, Blade Dive, Parker, Maddie, of course, Buddy. Hope you guys are all doing well. Quick question for you, Mr. Matt Rowan, is you're such a gifted builder. How will you use your gift to create and inspire the next generation of park snowboarding? Hope you all have a great day. Bye.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Being there for them, being cool, being approachable, being present with them, listening to them, not just like, and just giving them opportunity to fail and succeed, and being okay with either outcome. I'm not in a supervisor role. I haven't been in a leadership role with Snowcats in couple years. So it'd be cool to just take a back seat on all that and kind of hang out a little bit, be a little more of the crew instead of one of the leaders, pissing everybody off or something. You could just be one of the guys a little more, and just be cool to the new guy. Those guys they're already in a mess, like I'm fucking up. I remember what it was like being there. It's hard. So just being cool and just try to be somebody that, they look up to, that, they would want to follow. Set good examples and stuff. Try to. But that's what hold me to it this winter, Chris.
I was gonna say both of you will be working together, so I think you can kind of tag team the answer on that one. If you got any rookies on the crew, you can be your best self.
Yeah, just be cool. Teach them something.
Yeah, just be
Don't
cool.
be a dick. Don't make it awkward. It's hard enough.
Yeah, it's totally hard enough, and it's intimidating too. So being approachable.
You'll be chasing them out the door before they even started, and all this talk about investing in the future and who's going to do it when we stop doing it. If you chase out every new guy from being an asshole, what are you doing?
So Matt, we've been chatting for a while, and I'm super grateful for your time again, as I've mentioned, and I want to thank you for contributing to the podcast. But and is there anybody you want to thank or give shout outs to before we jump off?
Thank you for everything you do. Like, this show's a big deal, man. It's an operation. you put a lot of time and effort into my episode, you know, and every single other episode. So thank you. Thank you to everybody I've worked with, every single one over the years. There's a lot of you. What a journey for sure. So, yeah, thanks to all the listeners. Thanks to you, Parker. Thanks for bringing this show to life and making it a reality. So I think it's cool. I think you're doing good things. So keep it up.